Okay, we are recording.
1 + 1 don't equal 3.
Welcome back.
Hi, happy Father's Day
Yes,
to you.
we're recording on Father's Day in the morning.
You were a jerk last night, so it's hard for me to celebrate you on Father's Day, but I'm pushing through. Isn't that nice?
I would disagree with that.
Do we want to tell the people what it was about, or would you rather not?
I think we'll get to it.
Okay, great. So let's start with last weekend. We recorded on Sunday.
Yes.
And then on Monday, we went to Dave Chappelle.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a Father's Day, early Father's Day gift for me.
So I've been thinking about this.
Uh-oh.
Let's talk. We went to Dave Chappelle, which was, I would say 25% funny. Like I laughed at this stuff because I love his political humor. I think he has a good handle on the landscape of our country. I think it's fun, smart humor. Then I would say maybe it was more than like 40%. The sexual stuff and the raunchy stuff is so disgusting to me. And by the way, I keep telling everybody this. Halfway through, he was telling this joke about like a sex doll or something. It was so stupid. And he even said, like, obviously this isn't landing, but I'm going to keep going with it. Like, nobody thinks that stuff is funny except for 13-year-old boys. But it's uncomfortable. So it makes people like laugh in discomfort. But it's not funny. It's like dumb. But I kept leaving to get grown-up drinks.
To each their own.
Yeah. The other thing that I've been thinking a lot about that you will have probably no sympathy for, there was a roast of the comedian Kevin Hart.
Correct. I watched it.
Just this morning, I watched an interview with Wanda Sykes. Did you see this interview?
No, I did not.
And basically in this interview, she's like, it wasn't funny. It was racism. Like it was an hour of straight racism. And that's like an easy thing to do, but it was racism. Let me get where I'm going. At the Dave Chappelle comedy show, there was there was so many slams on the white folk, extensively, like craziness. And the thing is, I think that stuff's funny. Like I can laugh at it, but at the same time as I'm laughing at it, I'm like, what world would you be able to do this about our African-American brothers and sisters? And the answer is never. Now, what some of our African-American brothers and sisters would say is, yes, but we endured #slavery and Jim Crow laws, and we get to own this mockery of white people in a way that white people can't towards us because of white people, what white people have done in the past. However, as we move further and further away from that time in history, it starts to become weirder and weirder what African-American / Black folks are allowed to do versus what white people are allowed to do. Like we're not allowed to talk about any cultural differences. However, with no problem, Dave Chappelle can say at Little Caesars Arena with tens of thousands of people, turn to the white person next to you and say, they not like us, they not like us, they not like us. And I think it's funny. But it is crazy the double standard in 2026.
Such is life though. To me, life is double standard. There's many different cultural norms of things you can and can't do, things you can and can't say.
Yeah.
But I think that
to me,
sure,
it's the same.
But who? No. But to me, it's like, is it? Do you want to say these things so bad?
No. To me, it's no. But no, the challenge wouldn't be that I want to say these things so bad. It's that perhaps African American folks should start checking the things that they freely say around white people with no regard. To me, the mental leap of acting like one is offensive and one isn't is the same mental leap that we're asked to take when it comes to things like transgenderism and things like this. Like if you actually even think about it, you're like, this makes no sense that one race of people is allowed to mock another race of people just freely with no consequences. And one race of people can't say anything or it's the end of the world. It's just wild.
Yeah, but to me,
it's such stunning hypocrisy. Why? What? I mean, it's true. It's I'm saying wild.
But I'm saying that it goes across that's our culture. That's the nature of our. We live
that. No, double standards are important.
No, there's protected groups that if you say anything about them, like there's consequences.
Sure.
Let's just say our Muslim brethren. Like there's many people have said that if you make jokes about certain parts of Islam, there is some big consequences.
Or strike that, and if you make fun of certain parts of Israel and there, but what I'm saying to you is,
but people can freely make fun of the Catholic Church. Like my point is, like that goes around where people can make fun of different groups, but if they make fun of others,
right? And all I'm saying is that stuff drives me nuts. Like
I'm saying like I don't mind.
You have to suspend reason to be okay with what our culture has defined as acceptable and what's not. And I'm not saying I just find it fascinating. I've been thinking about it all week.
But I don't think that my point is just that's not linked to black versus white. I think that's prevalent in many different cases across culture.
I think every time it's prevalent, it's weird, and I think it's okay to say that it's weird.
I mean, maybe I just don't give it enough. I'm just like, okay, like to me, I'm just like, I'm not. I think you're more justice oriented, where that's not fair, and
well, no,
that
and you're
happen.
right. That's a
but
really
I'm just
good
more
point.
like, I can't. I don't care.
I'm really
to
glad you brought up the Muslim versus Catholic reality, because that's something that when I actually spend time thinking about it, I get just as like it's like I can't even understand how we've established what's okay and what's not. Like that you can make fun of Catholics and Christians.
Yes, in the
all
same
you want.
vein, if you made a joke about a Catholic priest, people laugh.
No, could
if
care
you made
less.
a joke about
an
Islam,
imam, it'd be the end of the world.
You would not.
Yeah, it's very
many
weird.
People have lost their lives on making those kind of jokes, and you can't do that.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's just insane to me. But anyways, the other thing that was crazy about the show is that they collected our phones. Do you want to talk about that? I thought that was wild.
See, I get that though, because I think his thing is always.
I'm not offended by it.
Like comedy is like the last thing when it comes to free speech, where like you should be able to freely say what you want because it's meant to be like in a joking, humorous fashion.
Yeah,
and to me, that's why I think you're allowed to say certain things, and like in the Kevin Hart roast, like there's a lot of things being said about that, but to me, like the point of it was to kind of push the boundaries of language and to be offensive. In the nature of comedy. This is not like a documentary or like a rally where they're trying to get people to believe. These are just like jokes. I think
my only point in bringing that up,
people are also hit. I think there's to me, it's people like, well, I didn't like that joke, but it's like you like because there was a joke that was made about George Floyd, but it's like you can make a Charlie Kirk joke, but you can't make a George Floyd.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Joke. So my point is like I think it's interesting.
But this is what I'm saying about Wanda Sykes. She would have loved the Dave Chappelle show. She would have laughed at every single one of those jokes and then and by the way, offensive stuff I don't really get. I kind of enjoy the fact that certain comedians are like, I'm going to say whatever the heck I want to say and nobody's going to cancel me for it. And that's why he collects the phones, right? A big spirit of it is
because he knows that people will take his stuff, they'll clip it apart, and then they'll be on social media.
Right.
It's Kevin Hart does a similar thing too. It's
does he?
Yeah, like comedians like I need to be able to say, because that's why a lot of comedians don't do like tours into the colleges because people are so sensitive, and all of a sudden you have to spend hours and weeks defending your joke on stage.
Well, and it was really funny though, because as we're pulling up, we came late we had a really nice date day. I feel like we went to Mexican Town, which shout out Mexican Town. If you want to go on a date with a significant other and you don't want to spend
or a side piece,
and you don't want to spend a bazillion dollars, it's a great place to go. Like we can get in and out for under 60, you and I, in Mexican Town. You can't do that at most restaurants. Even Applebee's, we'd be paying more.
And it was better than.
And it's better.
It's better than Ford's Garage.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, actually, yes. So into Mexican Town, then we walked on the river.
Can I go back to last week? Because our number one listener asked me about restaurants. I forgot about Cheesecake Factory. Cheesecake Factory. You said I don't like restaurants. You're
that's
like,
on my
you
list.
hate all restaurants.
Yes, that's on my list.
Yes, Cheesecake Factory is on yours and not mine.
Okay, so great. But what I wanted to say, then we went to the Riverwalk, which if you haven't been down there, it's just so magical. And then we went to the show. But we pulled up to the show later. We were like, let's not go till Dave Chappelle starts. The line outside of Little Caesars to be able to turn in all these phones into these pouches that then you carried your pouch. And also like giving my smartwatch and giving my phone, the inability to even check the time, it did make me feel some type of way. So,
well, you remember what life was like pre 2006.
Yeah.
That's what people did. You just went to a show.
Yes.
And you maybe took a picture with your Polaroid camera.
Yes. It was fun.
What life was like.
And I will say it was fun. I enjoyed it. I didn't like the raunchy stuff, but I enjoyed the good stuff. And it was fun being in a big hyped crowd. Like, I want to make a joke, but I'll get in trouble, but maybe I will. We said like sometimes one of our cultural differences is I think that there is like a particular type of hype when you're in a primarily African-American, like an excitement, like a yes, like enthusiasm. So I was all about it. So it was a really fun
good show. I've been a fan of Dave Chappelle since the mid 90s.
Yeah, so you seemed really happy while we were there.
I thought he did well.
Thank you. And that I thought you said I did well because
you did well. Thank you.
That was Father's Day, your gift. What was funny though too, and I think I am going to talk about this on the podcast because I think it's funny. But I didn't talk to you about talking about it on the podcast. So I am a woman of a certain age and I have very regular cycles, like very, very regular cycles. And so we have talked
Wait,
about
are
this.
we switching topics from Dave
Yeah,
Chappelle?
no, because no,
You gotta let the
this
people
happened
know.
that night. I'm going to
Oh,
explain it. No, it
like,
happened that
you
night.
gotta give the
No,
people
it
like
happened that
a.
night. So we've talked about NFP before. You and I regulate our children's births through natural family planning, which is watching your cycles and like making sure that you're only intimate on times when you're not fertile. And so my cycles are so regular that I know when I'm going to start my period. Like I just know this, right? And so I realized on like Sunday that I was quite late for my cycle, right? And then on Monday at Dave Chappelle, I'm like, honey, like I feel like we have to like get a pregnancy test because I'm at day like 36, 35, 36, and this doesn't actually happen, right? Like this doesn't happen. And you were like not pleased with this reality.
What do you mean?
You were like, this cannot be what's happening right now. You were like, you would have been really sad if I was.
I was just like, you 46 now.
Yes,
so
you 46.
This happens.
Yeah. No, that's not what. No, I'm talking about when I said that there's a chance I could be pregnant. You were like, that would be really upsetting.
It was because the rationale behind why you thought you were. I just said, you 46 now. This happens.
That's not what I'm talking about, honey. That's not what you did. You got me a pregnancy test the next day.
Days later.
The next day.
I can't remember.
Yeah, because that's not how you played it. Just so you know, what you said was like, this would be like a devastating reality if it's true. Like we have our lives planned out, your health too. Like you're like, I don't want to be an old parent. So for like 24 hours, I was like, oh dang, like I didn't sleep at all on Monday night because I was very nervous about the situation. And then I tested and I'm not pregnant. It's just the cycles of weird perimenopausal women. But I will say
a lot of details.
Yeah, no, but I will say like it was like for a second, you're like,
well, I feel like we have a very specific, and I always reference our demographic for this podcast. So I'm sure our male listeners, all like 5 of them, are like Tony out. But I feel like our demographic are probably not in their head like, yeah, that happens. Like,
right.
Yep.
I don't know why you're trying to act like you're like, oh yeah, that happens. Like I knew the whole time. Like you went and got me a test because.
But that was because of you. I was like, I think we're fine. Like, okay. No, that's not what happened.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's keep moving on. I thought we were going to have a whole different conversation than we were without you acting like you need to be like correct about everything. It's amazing. All right, next thing.
We did a podcast.
Yes, we did. A Data and the D podcast.
Let's talk about that.
Great. Let's dive into it.
So we talked about AI in education. Mm-hmm. We had our friend John Brayer there, and you were there.
Yep.
I thought it was very good dialogue.
It was a great conversation. It was a good one.
About AI.
Yeah.
What did you think about it?
I thought it was a good conversation. I always like talking to John. He has good insights in terms of analyzing the field, right? So he brought up a couple different specific concerns with AI that I thought were interesting and important in terms of educational concerns. Like he has a good way of articulating. I'm sure we'll share it, but just all the different layers of artificial intelligence and how it affects young people in general and adolescents is interesting.
I'm curious to get your take on. There's a point about AI in terms of the efficiency piece. I think from your lens as a teacher, there's an efficiency piece of using AI to get to answers quickly, or using AI to, for example, do your homework the most efficient way possible. And then his company's looking at it from a lens of you're able to kind of reference, you're trying to get access to more information that a person maybe not have had access to, or getting links to different documents, maybe historical documents that one may not have visibility to before, because they're all getting digitized and it's a lot of context. My question to you is, does that matter, right? So if I'm looking to a subject, if I find like 20 different articles about a topic, is that more helpful than just like the ones we have available right now? Or is getting more information about something?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we talked about, right? So we said that specifically, that like his company works within the Catholic world of intelligence. So like one of the things that they're really proud of is in your research about, let's say you take a doctrine, you're researching a doctrine, you can actually get digital copies of things that have not yet been put on the internet to analyze the truth of this particular doctrine. But my point to him is like, right, there's like footnotes, right, in the catechism, and footnotes take you to a certain level. Do you need then to have another 30 pieces to affirm what you're trying to say, and 30 pieces of proof? In some ways, I guess those 30 pieces of proof beef up what you're trying to say. But Pope Benedict XVI, and I brought this up in the podcast as well, talked about, when he was talking about the digital world, talked about at a certain point, it's like too much information. Like we're not actually meant to store that much information in our heads and our minds. And so it's like a shallow read of all the information. So what I said on the podcast is like, is it better to read like 3 paragraphs of Aquinas and really just read them again and again and again and pray with them and wrestle with them? Or is it better to read those 3 paragraphs quickly and then connect to the other 400 pieces of doctrine that would associate with those 3 paragraphs of Aquinas? And I think maybe in terms of what we're trying to do in terms of forming the human person, the former is better, like to just sit with the paragraphs and not get the 300 reference points that built those paragraphs. In terms of like humans,
when people always point to the early church and they didn't have any of this, like they were able to evangelize the entire world.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Without any of these methods,
right?
Maybe nowadays we should, or should we be able to do it better? Like if we have all these access to technology, different things, should we be able to do it in a more efficient or better manner?
Well, the human mind is only capable of so much. That's why, like, even when you talk about like a way to like personalize it even more is, all the doom scrolling you can do and see all of the issues across the globe. And if you actually sit with any of the significant humanitarian crises that we have in the globe, it would break your heart to the point where you couldn't even move, right? But what we do instead is we look at them all like over and over and over again, quickly, the next one, the next one, the next one. And in some ways that makes us less empathetic, I think, unless you're just used to it. Like you're used to it. You're like, oh, look, there was a school shooting in Colorado. Great. And now there's wildfires in California. Great. And in Gaza, this is what's happening. And this is what's happening in France. It's just too much. You're like, I actually don't have, because I'm not meant to have the capacity to carry all of that. And so
here's the question. Personalization. Do you think that we could use these things to more personalize where you are? Because right now it's kind of it's kind of like TV advertising. They kind of spray it and it goes to everyone. But can we use these to personalize it so that you, Mary, have a particular charisms, you have particular things that are important to you? Here a way in which we can teach or reference these things so they're specific to you. Or
well, I mean, again, I think that some of that though is fundamentally human. Like I think it's fundamentally human to understand your charisms before God and through prayer. And so, yeah, I think people could probably create a data engine of me inputting information to see the things that should be catered towards me in particular based on my charisms. Do I think that that's how the process should go? Probs not. So I think, yeah, I don't know. Like in terms of how it's meant to be. So, yeah.
Yeah, interesting discussion. We're in home. And also, I think we were talking a lens of like, we have teenagers. The other guy, Ryan, he's got kids that are like a little bit like 10, 8, and 6, and then John's got like little kids. So that was a part 2 of how do you introduce these to kids those age, only into the social media conversation. Like, how do we think about introducing kids to these different tools and technologies? Or is it like, leave it out? Do they need access to these different tools until they get to a certain age?
Right.
Cause they were asking that. They're like, they're younger kids. And they're like, I'm not afraid, but like, I don't know. Like, I don't know
the
what
fact
to do
that this is their world is something that I think we don't fully appreciate. Like that we are it goes back to when social media first became a thing. A big piece that shifted how I framed it was the understanding of digital natives versus digital immigrants. And, young people are digital natives. They know this. The AI world is their world. They don't know anything different. Whereas you and I are immigrants to the AI world. We are learning the AI world. They will just always know it. So it's hard to even guess how to manage them through it. I've been having a conversation on Instagram about social media and parents whose kids are like in that 25 to 35 age. They have really interesting reflections because that was all new for them. So
they didn't know.
They didn't know, right? So like there wasn't an awareness for a lot of people and the dangers of it, and then like how to incorporate it. And I think in some ways we still don't know, but we definitely have more than they had. And so I think in the AI conversation, that's how we'll be in 25, 20 years. We'll be like, I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't know the fullness of what was happening.
Well, we're in the border, like we're the borders where we knew life before and afterwards.
Right,
like we knew we were adults, young adults when social media came out. So we knew life before and afterwards. We were late teens, early 20s when cell phones became prevalent. So we know life on both sides of it. Whereas our children are like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean what's a TV guide? You mean you couldn't just pull up any TV show you wanted to? Like, what does that mean? You can only watch what was on TV.
It's like The Walking Dead. I didn't watch The Walking Dead. Life continued on. They had children, and then they flash forward. And the children who were born into the zombie apocalypse only knew the zombie apocalypse. They didn't know the world before the zombie apocalypse, and in some ways, that makes you more adapted to what you're living through because you don't remember what was, and you don't long for a different reality. So our kids are going to be raised that way.
Or our parents and our grandparents when like they had like legit wars, right. And they like they didn't know of life of peace where there weren't wars happening every couple of years. World War I, World War II, Vietnam. We're in Iraq.
Well, and I almost brought this up in the podcast, but it would have been too like Jesus-y. But one of the big reasons that Leo, and I really understood it after teaching it this year, one of the big reasons that Leo the 14th took his name was after Leo the 13th. Leo the 13th was the papacy that spoke into the Industrial Revolution because the Industrial Revolution shifted culture. And now Leo the 14th.
And the Catholic social teacher came out of, like, we need to have an opinion about that.
The Industrial Revolution, right?
Yeah.
So, and in his document, he references all this. It was so cool because I just taught it this year, but with Rerum Novarum, like, which is Leo the 13th massive document on the Industrial Revolution. Then we have Pope Leo the 14th, who chose his name because of the AI revolution that we're experiencing, the tech revolution that we're experiencing, likening it to the Industrial Revolution. But I remember, since I'm a history major this semester, that the Industrial Revolution was so mind-blowing because it had been centuries since there was such a significant...
Well, we were an agrarian economy, all agriculture, everyone's farmers.
Right.
And then we switched to heavy machinery.
Sure. So
and a whole different skills.
Read some sociologists. I'm not acting like I read a lot of sociologists, but they're saying that this tech shift then is even more significant than the Industrial Revolution was at the time. Like it is even more. So that's what Leo the 14th then is trying to speak into, is this shift in culture that is so significant that it's almost, it can't be compared to any other shift in culture historically. And so when you realize that we're living in those type of times, it gives context to how layered and complicated this is. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So whenever the podcast gets published in the next 2 or 3 weeks,
it will. I actually think people will find it interesting.
We'll post it.
I do not find any of the Data of the D podcast interesting. This one, I think, and it was so funny because I found out when I shared it, these people were talking about stuff I had no idea. There was something you guys kept Claude. I don't know who Claude is. I have no idea who Claude is.
That's not a person. Not a person. I know.
But people reference Claude as though we're just supposed to. And then there was something else you guys kept saying that I'm like, it is not my vernacular.
So, nerd, like 5 seconds of nerd talk. So when people hear about AIs, everyone thinks about ChatGPT, right? So ChatGPT is made by a company called OpenAI. ChatGPT is just more of the front end. Like that's what you type in as a chatbot, but it's an actual model, which is like you hear about GPT. So OpenAI has one. Google has Gemini. So if you ever use Gmail, they talk about Gemini. That's Gemini's version of ChatGPT. And then a company called Anthropic, they have a tool called Claude. So that's their version of ChatGPT. So there's three main.
Which one is like the best?
A lot of people use Claude. So Anthropic.
But I've never even heard of. The only reason I've heard of Anthropic and Claude, of course I was joking, I've heard of them. I have no idea what they are. So like what you just said is more than I knew when we were recording this podcast. But Anthropic, Pope Leo chose to have the founder of Anthropic.
It's him and his sister. There's two.
Which people were very offended by. Why would they have been offended by that? That they had the owner or the like people were like, that is a weird choice of things.
I'm guessing because they're not Catholic. I didn't follow. I've not followed that. Yeah. I didn't know
versus
that.
Versus maybe having. Okay, so then when John talks about his company, Magisterium AI, is he using one of those three interfaces, or are they creating their own interface? Then?
I think it's a both end. I think that they were using those whilst they're also creating their own model. Okay. So essentially, all those three companies. So OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic, they built their own models so that people can either ask the AI questions. They can say, AI, summarize these emails or create an email for this. They're using those different models to do all that. So you hear about new models. It's from those big three companies.
But I use Claude like I use ChatGPT.
100%, yeah.
Like it's the same.
All of them. Gemini, Claude.
You would say that some people though would say that Claude is the best one to use.
A lot of people are using Claude now.
But ChatGPT is for sure the most popular.
That was the OG.
For not data people. For like.
Yeah, it was the most widely. I think it's kind of like our word when we everything. Let's Google it. Like you can also do like Google is just a search engine.
Right.
Amazon, like Yahoo had one.
The other thing I wonder
Microsoft
too,
has
so
Bing.
Google, you say Google is a search engine, but now there is something significant where when you search on Google, and maybe it's Gemini that does a quick summary.
AI summary. Yeah, so that's their back end models, right? So the back end model is doing these summaries. That's using most likely Gemini is their big model thing. So yes, so different options. You know, there's different ways to do things. But yeah, good conversation. Glad to have you on.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we did it. We had a listener question from Gina. Do you recall?
I cannot recall.
She had asked about like patriotism in our on our national anthem. Do you recall that?
Is it that other countries are more patriotic than ours?
Yes.
It is.
And let me. Go ahead. Have to find it.
I can't see. I can't tell through like what is actual fake news stories and real news stories, and who's pushing what. But there's these super interesting little reels and all the things, TikToks, everything that are coming out with people from other countries coming to the United States, and you're like, this is actually the best freaking country ever. And basically everything we've been told about the United States is a lie because it's super nice people, really delicious food, awesome like systems of organization in terms of roads and police and organization. And so all these people are like, oh my gosh, this is freaking amazing. So a lot of people are commenting like this reality. And I think this does flag to what Gina's saying. Like these other countries have permission to be wildly proud of where they come from. And it has become, I think, a global universal reality to like not mock the United States, but like hate on the United States. Like we don't have the pride to like sing our national anthem and like on July 4th, like be proud of who we are. And the case that's being made, at least by conservative people on all of the medias, is that like the news media has presented an America that isn't what we are. Like we're actually freaking awesome, and we should be proud of who we are. And then all these people are coming in for the World Cup. Like this is amazing. Like I saw this Japanese man be like, I just had barbecue and a beer, and it was the best thing I've ever had in my life, right? And so, but I don't know if that's being exaggerated by like, I don't know, my For You pages. I don't know. What do you think? And is that what Gina was getting at?
Yeah, so the question was, I'd love to hear your opinion on other country pride in singing national anthem where we lame Americans don't sing.
Yeah. So I think that's what she's getting at, right? Like that we have like.
Yeah, I feel like it's two parts, right? So one is to your point about, I think other people they get their information from the news about the United States. So, I mean, I've been in different companies where people have pinged me from other countries, say like, "Hey, is everything all right? Seems like everything's going crazy in the United States." And you're like, "Yeah, we're fine. Like it's just, it's like it's fine. It's just the news, right?" So if you're an outsider, you don't live in the country, all you hear is these news sources saying Donald Trump's crazy or this president's crazy and civil war and everyone's upset and cranky. So I think it comes across as we have all these problems.
We got to be careful with that though. Actually, and I just challenged a friend on it. We were hanging out and she said something like, the United States is a disaster compared to the rest of the world. And I'm like, no, actually we're not.
Oh, exactly.
But we're used to repeating these things. And yeah, like Donald Trump is a nut job. Like he's a total nut job. The things that he says, I will forever reference the tweet about destroying an entire civilization. What
tonight?
And you think it's funny. You laugh, right? People like me are like, what clown world are we living in? Where the president of the United States puts that on a tweet, right? Or like strikes up a fight with like a country music star on his. The whole thing's nuts. But at the same time, that's actually not our lived reality.
Well, I think you can have like there's this thing where you can't have pride in being American because people reference like, well, this is a country who built their backs off of slave labor or stole from indigenous people. So they always kind of go back to you can't they think it's it can be both and where you can say, hey, I'm not proud of things that happen, but I can be proud to be an American. Like, yes, my family can have a lot of weird jacked up things, but I'm still proud to be a part of this family.
Right.
But people think you have to pick sides where I can't have an American flag. I can't sing the national anthem because I'm so I resent the country. But like, bro, you still live in this country. Like you reap the benefits of being a citizen.
I'll reference, which I always talk about on this podcast. I know I've referenced it before, the Clarence Thomas documentary that we watched, where he's like, the reason I fell in love with law is it was because of our Constitution that the enslaved people were free. It was because of our Constitution that Jim Crow laws eventually fell. Like it is actually because of what we built that creates the most amount of freedom, right?
Yeah.
Even though we have these really dark periods in our past. And to that point, and what you just said about family, it just made this connection. There's this other weird thing going on in culture, right? Too, where like your family of origin or your parents like make mistakes, right? Like all over the place. And now we have a whole generation of people, and it's not everybody, obviously, and it's a minority that are like that they'll block out their parents. They're like, I'm now, you're not a part of my life. I'm putting up a boundary. So you're not allowed to see your grandkids because they might, and I'm not talking about deep abuse, right? I'm talking about like human like follies. And so now there's this kickback against that. I'm not sure if you know, there's like these groups on Facebook. One of our friends, I won't say the friend's name, just posted about it because she's going through this with her own family and her own child. The child has with counselors like written the parents letters being like, you are not allowed to be in my life because you have abused me in this way. And the parents are like, I mean, we made mistakes. But this woman then on social media had posted like that there's tens of thousands of people in these support groups for parents that are no longer connected to their children because one thing was bad in your childhood. Now you don't get to be a part of my life. Like, and I think this does tie into the country thing. Like, no, like our country's pretty darn great.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's bad.
But I would say for the national anthem, maybe part of it is because we sing it so often, right? So every major sporting event, we go to so many kids games, like every single basketball game, every single football game.
Yeah.
So
I think
maybe people are just tired of singing it so often because we do it in all these sporting events.
Well, I sing it, just to be clear. I think you know that about me. Like even at their little CYO football games, I sing it. And I sing it at their basketball games. Like I sing the national anthem. I think it's important. So I think it is important. And I remember in college, like one of my professors saying, patriotism is a virtue. And don't let anyone convince you that it's not. It is a virtue to be proud of where you come from.
Correct.
And so
and also I question, like, I've been to many parts of this world. I've been to not as many continents as you, but I would still say that the United States is the best place on this planet. I've been to Europe. I've been to South America. I've been to Australia. I still will choose this country every day and twice on Sunday. Like, I've been to other parts of this world. We have it pretty good considering our standard of living, the things that we have, quality of many different things. Like, it's still the best place. It's not perfect.
The best system of government right now anywhere in the world. Even with our crazy nut job president. God bless you.
Correct. And I think it's built in a way that one president cannot throw off the country. Like the country was built in specific ways. Like we don't have a king. Like it's a president. He'll be gone in a couple of years, and it'll be up to the next guy. I say that too. Like when I panic about things, because and we've talked about this. The sky is falling sometimes, and you're like, yeah, the Constitution protects against that. So well, that's all they say about the church, right? They say, the people have tried to destroy the church for thousands of years, and it still stands. Like it's built to outlast many of these modern day challenges. So. Yeah, so that's that one. What else? I know we have to get into social media, so we just jump into social media.
Well, yeah. So little Aaron got Instagram yesterday, which is exciting. I think that I told you reading The Anxious Generation, I think was a really good thing. So you're right on that. Having a book. He did a really nice synopsis that made me feel really proud reading that. I'm not sure, and he actually conversed with me about this too. Like The Anxious Generation, a big piece of it is allowing kids to play and to take risks. Like we've taken that away from them because we don't allow kids to play and take risks. Then they become anxious at very young ages. Then there's the social media piece, right? So the first few chapters, though, as he was reading, he's like, Mom, it's so dumb that you're having us read this because this is how I was raised. Like we actually raised them like that. Like our kids were told to go downstairs and play and were allowed to go outside and play in the front yard and could go around the block when they were 5 years old. Like we let them live life, I think. We let them fall off of play structures without panicking. I'll never forget when I was at the mall in one of those play structures, and I think John Paul fell off the top of one of the climbing things. And literally every human parent around me panicked. And I just sat there. I was like, "You're okay, bud. Get up." And he was fine. But that's the whole point of the first part of the Anxious Generation. It's like we've created this bubble for kids, helicopter parenting, where kids have not been able to fail and then learn. Even as small as failing when you're learning how to ride a bike or learning how to walk when you fall, like that's all good, right? Like it's all good. And so he read it and like that, and he wrote about that, and he said like I'm really glad that I was raised this way, and then we let him get the social media.
Yeah, and I think we talked about that on linking back to the podcast we had about AI, I think that was a question, right? How do you raise kids? And I think some of that is there's a concept called like of looping that I was reading about in a thing I'm doing in terms of conflict management, where someone says something, you kind of play back what they said is like, hey, this is what I heard, or this is what I heard you say. So I think one of the best ways to know if someone's picking up on that is have them play it back. So to me, that was the reason why we said read this book. I think he ended up doing the audio version, but listen to this and then play back what you heard. Like, so write down, the best way to do is write that down and say, okay, write down for each chapter or paragraph and tell us what you heard from that. Because to me, that's because anyone can say, I read the book, I'm good with it. But okay, can you actually write down and say, this is what I had? And we did a couple drafts. I think the first draft was a lot of grammar. And that was part of it too. These kids, I was my children, they talk in like short sentence, they talk in like phrases, and they don't use complete sentences. So it's part of this is I need to teach you guys and get you ready to know how to actually like live in this world. So writing complete sentences with like a complete thought, they struggle with. So it's another way of saying.
Well, he was writing it on. I told him to open a Google Doc, and he didn't. So he was doing it on his phone notes, and then he has big fingers, so every other word was spelled wrong. So we did have him edit it.
We had a couple drafts of that one.
Yeah, I'm proud of him. I'm proud of us. I think we've done it really well. I went on social media, then on my own personal social media, and kind of talked about how we've dealt with Aaron in terms of phone everything. And I've had a really dynamic conversation with uh, parents and friends, and a lot of people asking questions and commenting. And I would say for sure the majority of parents that allowed their kids to have social media would run it. And so that's like I keep saying, I don't know if we're doing this right. Like I really don't. And anyone who with too much confidence thinks that they think that they're doing it right, I'm cautious of because we're making this stuff up. Like we have no idea how that there is no clear cut plan. I have friends, for instance, that homeschool and their kids are part of homeschool co-ops and they're like, I would never let my kid do social media. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. They're in a different world than my kid is. Aaron is in a completely different culture than the culture that you're raising your kids in. The other thing that I referenced yesterday that was super interesting, and I'm going to get into it on social media, my own personal social media, but I'm also noticing that some, not all, some kids that are raised in this way that's really protected from these things end up being kind of jerks. And I think it's for a couple different reasons.
Like overly pious.
Just not nice kids. And I think there's a couple different reasons. One, I think it's because they become defensive, right? Two, I think accidentally sometimes we as faith-filled people can raise our kids to think that they're better than other people. We have to be very careful with that in the language that we use with our kids. I know so many faith-filled people that the way that they are forming their kids is to say, we not like them. We not like them. But then the kids hear that from the time they're little. So I think we try to fight against that. Like I don't think our kids are jerks. I think they're nice. And I think allowing our kids to speak in the language of the culture in which they exist, which is social media, when it's age appropriate and somewhat safe, is the best thing to do. I do. Like, I think it's nice.
Well, I think one of the things in the book, because there's reasons, right? We don't do or make them do things just for S's and G's. Like it's intentional, right? Say, hey, we don't want you to end up like, we don't want this to happen to you. So we're protecting you, right? So we don't want you to drown, which is why you use puddle jumpers in the pool. We don't want you to get hurt, which is why we tell you to do these different things. So I think the book did a good job of just saying, this is what could happen if your parents didn't care. Like you can go down this path, which we think is very bad. And crap, I can say something about what you said about social media. Oh, the other part is I think it's balance, right? I think we have the benefit of like our kids are heavy into they have other use of their time, right? So they're heavy into sports, which I think takes up their time. But also I think the part of the social media is like at the end of the day is just kind of like entertainment. But I do think there's a danger of having too much entertainment of like, okay, these kids are way too entertained, right? They need to have off screen time to go play and go to the park. So to me, social media is just it's another distraction of entertainment, but I think that's where it has to be balanced with like the stuff that he's starting to do with some of his internship stuff, like getting him off of social media. You can do a little bit of it, but it's just like it can't take up your entire day. Like because you're not making money off that. That's not gonna social media is not going to help you get a job or be successful in life. It's just entertainment.
Right. Well, you and I had a debate because in the summertime, I was like, hey, like I think 3 hours on your phone is reasonable per day for like YouTube and Instagram now. And like I think 3 hours in the summertime is fine. And you're like, no. And at first I thought that was crazy, but what I had not even thought about is you're like, he also plays video games. So like that's another element of screens, right?
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, so you're right. That then becomes 4 or 5 hours of screen
And the
time during the
TV,
day, and the
right?
TV, right? So like,
TV plus
yeah.
social media plus YouTube plus video
But
game.
I do think that there's something that is going right now with our kids, and I think about even yesterday. Like we went out to dinner yesterday as a family for Father's Day to a really cool place. What was it called? What is it called?
Canteen in
The Canteen in
Midtown.
Dearborn. Super fun. Lots of food trucks. You should go. So, but it's very expensive. Like it was a very expensive because everybody went to different places. But anyway, as you're coming home, like the option was to go to the mall, walk around now, or to go home and just chill now. Our kids were like, "Can we please go to the park and play soccer together? Let's go as a family." Like there are parents that have children that would give anything that are like, "I can't get my kid to go outside for anything. Like I've tried to get them to go outside." Our kids would rather be outside together with us than inside on screens for the most part. Not on super hot days, not on, you know what I mean? But like,
Well, also like Camp Sancta Maria, they're going to go there
yeah.
in a couple weeks, and that's completely screen free for 2 weeks.
But the other piece that I think is important that I want to say too, though, because I got a lot of DMs saying, yeah, but like, what if this goes wrong? And you know that they can still do blah, blah, blah. And you know that they could still go rogue, and you don't know. And they set up ghost accounts. And I ultimately said, like, yeah, I know. I know, at least for me, I don't think you feel this is necessarily. Aaron can get around any of the blocks of safety that I put in place for him. With a couple friends saying, hey, my mom and dad have Aura. How do you get around Aura? My mom and dad, like, I know he can get around it. My hope is that through communication, through discussion, that if he does and he runs into somewhere dangerous online, he knows he has a safety net and we can work that out together as a family. And or like he makes mistakes and we help walk him through it. Like that's my hope. And I said in my social media again and again, like that's why we bring our kids to the Eucharist. That's why we bring our kids to reconciliation. Like I'm not imagining this is going to be without mistakes.
Well, and also I think we forgot to mention that he also started driver's training this week, so you can probably tell the people about your experience with that so far.
Oh, yeah.
But to me, like it's another like as he's getting older, there's all these different like distractions. So I was talking about like the time budget of these, all these different things competing for time. Right now, you have driver's training, which has driving, and he has like these sports, like the conditioning. So all these different things competing for time. So now I would say, how does this thing fit in? Which to me should be a very small part of it. So I think a lot of kids they'd have nothing going on, so like they'll spend hours and hours and hours on social media. So I think for us is like we're okay with it because we can limit it to being also with or you can limit how much time they spend on it, but it's a small part of it, not like this entire day. If he had nothing going on and he was on social media all day long, they'll say, okay, that's a problem.
And they bring up their phones every night. Joey's starting because Joey now has his eyes on next year getting a smartphone and eventual Instagram in like a year and a half. So, but I think I was proud of what we've done so far and, without being cocky and thinking that it's going to be perfect. Like my son is going to make mistakes on social media.
But to me, he's understanding, right? And that's why we have him like start like to write out the summaries. Is I need him to understand and comprehend.
Well,
It's one thing for us to understand. It's another thing for him to understand and comprehend and play that back and say, okay, I understand why this is so important.
This is so dumb, but I'm going to say this too, and then we can move on. But like yesterday night, the kids were as we were walking back from our soccer play, they're making all these dumb jokes. I didn't understand them. And what it ends up is that they watch Vines sometimes at night on YouTube. Vines are really short, almost like Reels or TikToks, right? And they make fun of people in some ways, and a lot of them are offensive, right? And so we have a relationship with our kids where they tell us, and then my son said, "Come and sit down and watch these with us," right? And we were watching them, and a lot of them are offensive. Not anything that's like over the top, but like there's some racial stuff, there's some making fun of people, whatever. So as they're watching this, like I turned to Aaron and I was like, little Aaron, and I'm like, yeah, you can never share these with people. You understand that, right? But this is a teachable moment, right? Like you're watching something with your brothers that you think is dumb, making fun of like a kid that trips, right? And you think that's funny, but the kid that trips happens to be Asian. And now you've shared that with a friend over Instagram, and now it's all of a sudden become this super offensive joke that you didn't think through, right? So it was neat to be able to sit there and watch with them and be like, Aaron, this is the exact type of stuff that you may never put on your social media page. That well, you shouldn't be watching either. I mean, we challenged them with that too, but also not in this way that we're like, you're so terrible, turn this off right now. But like, oh, that felt a little weird. Like, did it feel good to you to, like?
Well, also you have this digital trail, right? So exactly, if you're starting, well, the part I don't know yet is I know that with Instagram, before they turn 18, they have teen accounts. I'm curious to see like when they switch into adult accounts, do they keep all the history? Because what they have, we don't have, is they have from when they were teenagers this historical record online of all the things they shared and things like that. Which we like ours didn't. We weren't on these platforms until our mid to late 20s, so we don't have them. But now they have it until they're teenagers. So when you're an adult, you have like probably 30 years.
Well, there's a lot of people now, and I don't buy into this, but I respect it. Right? There's a lot of people now that will not share their children's faces or anything on social media, and a big reason for that is they're like, my child deserves autonomy. So I am not going to expose my kid to the world before my kid has the ability to give permission. Now, I think you and I would both a little bit roll our eyes at that, but the whole point being, your digital footprint starts the minute I decided to show Aaron's sonogram picture on social media. At that point, associated with his name, from then till 15, anybody who really wanted to could learn his whole life story because, especially because I'm an oversharer, I probably do too much. I roll my eyes a little bit at the like xenial people that are like, oh, never a picture of my kid anywhere. So then they post their kids with like stickers over their faces, and I'm like, you're so dumb. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you're one. And there's good reasons for that, sure. But, like,
she just called our listeners dumb.
No, a little bit though. A little bit. I'm like, come on. But I get it. No, but so I'm saying you're so dumb while at the same time saying there's something really cool about saying I'm not going to tell my child's story before he gives me permission to tell my child.
Well, it's like, it's
so it's both and, like you said. But Driver's Ed started this week. Should I say the name of the company?
I mean, what are they going to do? Kick us out? Go ahead.
Thoroughly unimpressed with USA. What is it called?
All-Star.
All-Star USA. I don't know. Is it USA at all?
It's no USA. It's just All-Star.
It's All-Star Driving School. First of all, their website doesn't work, which took me to a new level because you're supposed to sign up for these drives that we couldn't do because their website didn't work. And Aaron's trying to do it, and I probably should have just done it. So I ended up taking the phone and being like, yeah, when's your website actually going to work? Because the thing about Driver's Ed is it's $500.
But the poor receptionist, the person on the phone, she has no clue. She's not in technology.
$500 freaking dollars. So then they have a parent meeting to start it, and I am going to say this nicely. I am not going to say what I said to my husband about this meeting, but I will tell you, the instructor who was leading the meeting clearly had never looked at the material before. Like, it was so confusing that I was like, and she kept stopping, and big words were really hard for her to pronounce. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, it was a wild meeting where, like, she didn't understand her own PowerPoint. Like, she had not looked at the PowerPoint before presenting it to a room full of 40 kids and their parents. So I left that meeting being like, what are we actually paying for? Then the next day, they started their first day without parents.
Yeah.
And little Aaron got in the car and was like, we talked about signs. And I was like, great. He's like, Mom, it was really confusing. I had no idea what she was talking about. So then I was like, actually, you, my love, did not want him to take the virtual class. We talked about this on the podcast because you're like, this is important enough that you need to be in person.
Correct.
So then I'm like, if they have an instructor who is incapable of instructing, what are we actually doing?
Just read the textbook.
Now, Aaron said it's gotten better, though.
He said it's gotten better.
Classes. So maybe it was just like they revamped it for the summer, but the woman, it was wild. So
we were driving. He seems to know some stuff. We were driving around. He knows some of the signs.
And he's a cautious kid. It was funny. He's always been a cautious kid. I've talked about this on social media. Like, he's not a risk taker. He isn't. And so it's funny because at the parent meeting, they said, and a lot of you are risk takers. I turned to Lily and I'm like, that was a problem for you. Like, he's smart. I'm really proud of him. I like him.
Yes, they're not as risk averse.
Yes. And then he also started working for
They start Wednesday. Wednesday. So next week, he does his first drives Wednesday and Friday. So I would say stay off the road Wednesday and Friday morning. If you see All-Star, that could be our child. Not USA. It's All-Star.
All right, Aaron, talk about the internship that you have our son doing. You're paying him $4.60.
Yeah. So like I said, it's tricky now because job-wise, he's limited. So, there's some stuff I'm giving him through my nonprofit that I do. It is funny just with these kids and how much they don't know. So like even like how to write an email. I like he put together an email to send to someone. I was like, yeah, you can't, like, you got to put hello in front of it. You got to format this differently. Like he didn't know how to like CC. Like, what does the CC mean? So to copy someone, so I had to show him that. Spreadsheets. I was like, can you put together spreadsheets? I don't know how to do that. So I had to show him videos. So it's interesting just to see like how much they do and don't know from school. So yeah, he's slow slow starting to help out with these different things. So it'll be, but it's good. I think these are all good skills from to know like how to send emails, how to write create a spreadsheet, how to talk to adults.
Well, I think this is what's really fun is that it's giving him an opportunity to like operate in the business world. I saw that at least some of your plans, I think, is to have him sit in the Zoom meetings with you guys when you
Yeah,
Zoom about data in the D. So data in the D, obviously, I think everybody knows like your like little side hustle. It's not even a hustle; it's like a community of people that you work on. But I mean, at the same time, like you have a legit conference and money comes in and out. Like it's a what do you call it? It's not a 501.
it's 501c
Oh, it is a
six.
501c. Okay, so like him being able to be exposed to
You can put it on his
the
resume.
business world, yeah, it's smart.
You can put it on his resume.
It's smart. What you're doing is smart with him.
And he's helped out at the conference and different things. So it's just a different level. Like, and I know he wants to work at Chick-fil-A. So to me, it's a different thing. Like working at a fast food job, like a front counter, is different than some of the stuff he's trying to do. So it's good. It's good to give him different experiences
Yeah. Which
earlier
you're going to
on.
have to be able to be ready to duplicate it for every other kid, though, or replicate it for every other kid. We got in a fight yesterday that we're still in a fight in that I don't want to talk to you about, but I will say you're only paying $4.60 for the first 90 days.
Because he is a trainee. So they're in Michigan law, you can
And I
pay
found the
kids.
least amount that I can pay
You can pay
14 and
children.
16 year
You
old.
can pay children less minimum wage as
So
trainees
minimum wage
because at
is
this point he knows
$8.
nothing. So he
I'm paying
spent
him $4.60.
he spent.
So I said we should pay him $6.
That is
And
not how you
I'm
said it. We'll
yeah,
move
I
on.
said
And I
I'm
said,
not
sure.
letting my
I'm
son
not
work
gonna.
for less than $6. I'm his mother. Like that's I wouldn't if like one of his friends' dads was like, "Hey, you want to intern for me? I'll pay you $4.60." I'd be like, "No, actually, Aaron, you should negotiate and say, pay me
I would
$6."
ask what he's doing though. If it's doing like cutting grass, I would say yes. The kid can cut grass in 2 seconds. But the stuff he's doing with me, like there is some like it took him 2 hours just to figure out how to write like an intro email.
That's not even fair.
So anyway, but yeah, it's good
I
to
think
get
it's
that
super cool.
going.
To be very clear, I think what you're doing is super cool with him. I hope you have the stamina to replicate it for the next four. That would be my own. And I said that to you, like,
But all the
because I
stuff
just think
we,
it's so cool.
but it's you can carbon, you can
Yeah,
copy and paste all the
yeah.
stuff. There's
I just
nothing
think it's
specific to
really. I
him.
think it's really cool. I think he's learning. He's excited. It's a way for him to build some income. He thinks he's going to make $5,000 off it. I don't think he's going to make $5,000 off it because he has a goal. He'd like us to match what he saves for a car.
Well, the problem is your son likes to spend money, so that
I
he
know that's
needs to
what I
actually
said.
save
Yeah.
money.
The car thing also just, and I'm sure what time we're way over. I'm sure.
We're under an hour
Okay.
still.
I was going to say the car thing is on the horizon. I think for me, at least, the financial piece of that and like what we're going to do, because I want him with a car to drive our younger ones around. Like that to me is important, but I am also vehemently opposed to giving a kid. And
Well,
so
that's why
it's, but
we have tough decisions on the horizon when it comes to his time. So that's
yeah,
it goes back to the time thing of to get this thing, you need to give up something. So like there's a very heavy emphasis on sports and eventually that needs to pull back because he has to work to
so
make money to pay
that's
for
where
these
you and I don't
things.
agree totally because to me, if I'm going to have to give him like a reality where he's going to be a chauffeur for me for my young kids, which is what I'm planning on doing, which will affect his time. Like I think where I'm headed, and we haven't really even discussed this a whole bunch, is what he saves will match. So if he saves 2,500, we'll match 2,500. He'll buy a car for $5,000. Like that's kind of in my head what I think will be the
But that
best
still
way to go.
requires him to make
To
some
save
decisions when it
25,000.
comes to
Yeah. Oh
how
yeah.
to
Yeah.
save
Yeah.
for
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
Yeah. But he wants to. To be honest, like you're, and I'm saying you have done a really good job, I think, helping him to understand like that a lot of this is going to be in his control, right? So like even with Chick-fil-A, he applied, they said no, and he knew with Chick-fil-A he would only because he's too young, he would only be able to work. He has a football friend who does Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
Austin, and Austin is on the football team and says I can only work Saturdays and then I work like one evening a week. Like and so he's Austin said that, but in Austin told Aaron that's still 9 hours a week, right? So that still ends up being so like Aaron. So he applied for Chick Fil A like on his own. He wrote a resume, like. But I think a lot of that is you. You're helping him to understand goals versus work, and it's exciting.
Decisions. Like the things that you want have decisions. And we're doing that with a lot of the kids. When they say I want this, like, well, you need to get
Yeah.
some money.
Well, and the
Like
other cool thing that you're
you
doing
need to
is
make
something
money.
that I don't think we mentioned is you are doing um, pretty much every lunch. You've been taking the three littles on a rotation of DoorDash, where they DoorDash one or two, during the, let's say, 11 to 1 o'clock, you choose an hour within that time frame. So they're making some money. Like if they make
Yeah.
$20 a week, right? So you take them twice, they make $20 a week. That's legit money. That's $40 in 2 weeks. That's $60 to an 8-year-old. $60 is real people money,
Yeah.
So I love that you do that, by the way, because it does come at a big sacrifice to you. And on this Father's Day, I will honor that for you. That, like, I understand you're giving up your lunchtime to take them around, but I think it's so good in so many ways. One, they can save. Two, they get time with you. They'll remember it forever. Like, three, it forces them to like learn that work equals. It's just so good.
Well, and the last point will be, I mean, we were talking with our number one fan about just the emotional toil that parenting has differently, right? So the things you care about are different than the things that I care about, which is fine because it's balance, right? So you lean on to like the social part, which led to the social media, and I lean on that. Hey, like we only have a couple of years, and these kids are all out of the house, and they need to be functioning adults.
Right.
And
Right.
as I get older, I see a lot of these adults who struggle, and I realize that they weren't properly formed. Like they didn't get guidance from their parents. They weren't taught basic skills. So they don't just, I think people think they just naturally learn them. A lot of people don't. They don't naturally just figure things out. They just still struggle as adults. So to me, my part of it is how do we make sure our kids are ready for the real world? Because it's not roses out here in these streets. And it gets harder and harder. Like with AI, like jobs are much different now than they were when I got in the workplace 20 years ago. So they need to have basic skills out of high school. They need to know how to make money. So to me, our role is different in terms of how do we prepare them. I think you do all of yours, and I have my part that I'm trying to do with them too.
As a boss, say to my kid, I'm going to pay you $4.60. My role as a mother is to say, actually, son. Now, what I should have done is I should have said to Aaron, I will admit this. I should have said to Aaron, you need to go back to your boss and say, I cannot work for $4.60. I need you to. That actually would have been the appropriate thing.
With rationale, not just saying I want more money, with rationale, because that's how the real world works.
You're paying me the lowest possible amount, and I'm a pretty actual functional adult. So
yeah. So show me that in the first week. All right.
Well,
till next time.
Bye.